Hello and welcome to Hot Tea with Holly. I'm Holly and I'm having a hot cup of tea. Today I've been so naughty. I've been doing coffee most days and it kind of caught up with me today. So today I'm actually doing an herbal tea. So one of my favorite herbal teas is licorice root tea. Now, this comes with a disclaimer. I do not love the flavor of licorice root tea. I don't like it at all, but I love the way that it makes me feel. So today we're going to choke down a little licorice root tea. Licorice root tea is so good for your adrenals. It's considered an adaptogenic herb. And so it's one of those herbs or tea tinctures that when I drink it, I just feel such a huge difference. So that is what we are doing today. It is a beautiful day in August. If you are here with me live, please say hello. And if you're watching this in playback, just know that I am here live every Tuesday at 1 o'clock on the East Coast on Facebook, Holly Perkins Fitness on Facebook. But the cool thing is, even if you miss me live on Facebook, you'll be able to catch this replay over on my blog as well as on YouTube. And if you're seeing this on YouTube, welcome. Come on over to hollyperkins.com and say hello. I've got a couple of incredible free resources. One of them I'm going to offer to you today because it's relevant for today's conversation. So today we are talking about if you have aches and pains. I can tell you right now, this will fix it forever. So for some reason lately, I've been having a lot of conversations with my clients, friends and family, women in my community around what it's like to just feel that essence of getting older. If that's you, let me know. I can't tell you how often people say to me, ugh, it just gets so much harder as you get older, or my body just really starts to feel the effects of aging. And what I will say is, it is true, as we get older, your physical body changes without a doubt. But the cool thing is, there's a lot that you can do to really optimize your body. And aches and pains are really just an indication that your system is out of balance. And that is what we are going to talk about today, because the way that I see it, and I think the way that you will see it in just a moment, is that there really is one perfect way to fix aches and pains. Now, it's a pretty simple solution, but it may not be exactly straightforward. And that's what I'm going to be sharing with you today. My very specific prescription to help you address, and I believe completely treat, common aches and pains. Now, there is a difference between general achiness, and this is something that I deal with on a regular basis. So if I am not 100% consistent with my body regimen, my body training protocols, my strength training, my yoga, my stretching, etc., if I'm not super rigorous with that, I do have a tendency to get into that aches and pains, achiness territory. And there have absolutely been times where it was full on pain that I was dealing with. And so there is a bit of a departure between the two, a separation between the two. And I think it's valuable as you're watching or listening to this episode to keep in mind, are you dealing with general achiness? If that's you, let me know. Or do you have full on joint pain that limits your range of motion, that limits your activity, that bothers you when you try to sleep, that when you stand up, oh, that right hip is really killing you? Is it pain or is it general achiness that you're personally dealing with? And if it's neither, oh, by the way, today's segment is going to be so incredibly helpful for you because it's going to help you avoid those aches and pains that usually do crop up as you get older. Now, listen, getting older is not for the faint of heart. and it's definitely challenging. And each and every one of us will have to deal with some of the fallout from getting older. And that might be a health challenge, that might be a physical challenge, that may be a temporary illness, that could be a mood disruption, if you will. But every single one of us will have to confront the challenges of getting older. We just will. That's kind of part and parcel for being a 3D physical manifestation here on earth. Our body, unfortunately, does subscribe to the laws of physics, and we are walking physics in action. And if you're not actively really taking care of your body, you are going to confront some of the deterioration. But there's a lot that you can do to really reduce some of those challenges that many of us face. So, one thing that I think is super helpful is if you can recall either a loved one, a parent, maybe an aunt or an uncle, someone who is older than you, someone who is in that life stage that we would categorize as aging or maybe elderly, if you will. Those are the folks maybe above 70, above 80 that are older. And many of us have someone in our life that we can call to mind who is not the picture of health. And one of the things that we see most frequently is sort of the crumpled over little old lady, little old man that's shuffling through life like this in that crumpled over, very painful reality. And really, when you think about that, all that is not keeping up with the physical demands required to fight the effects of gravity that are going to inevitably pull you down in life. Do you follow? Listen, shrinking and losing great posture and coming forward into that crippled, bent over position is not a fact of life. It does not have to be. That is simply deterioration. And that is the lack of consistent dedication towards keeping your body in that balanced position, upright against gravity. And that is ultimately what we're talking about today. Welcome. If you're here with me live, say hello. Are you having a hot beverage, a cold beverage, a water, a bubbly beverage? What is it that you are having? And if you're interested in licorice root tea, I got to tell you, it always makes me feel amazing. I personally do not love the taste of it. I wish I would drink it every single day, but I don't like it. It's like it makes me go ugh, every single time I drink it. I got to get it down. I do not love it. Most of the time I hold my nose and I just drink it down. But every single time I have a cup of licorice root tea, I feel amazing afterwards. If you are a B blood type, licorice root tea is particularly beneficial. If you are a B blood type, I would challenge you, go get yourself a box of licorice root tea, drink a cup every day, and come back to me in a couple of weeks and let me know how fabulous you feel, because it really is extra powerful. So if you're here with me live, please say hello. Heidi is here. Hi, Heidi. She's having Japanese sencha, which might have to do a little later today. Licorice root tea sounds good. I really like that tea, but I don't like licorice. Exactly. Heidi and I on the same page as usual. Neither one of us really loving the licorice root tea. It's just not my favorite. Tracy, so good to have you. Ding, ding, ding. Cannot sit down extended periods. Then when standing, it's like I'm stuck. Tracy, today's conversation is going to be incredible for you. And Tracy's having vanilla chai. I love it. Bigelow teas are amazing. Let's jump in. So we are talking about aches and pains. And if this applies for you, you know, do you fall into the category of general aches, or are you at the point where it is full on pain? If so, do share. If you're with me live, put it in the comments now. If you're watching this in playback on my blog, please take a look down, and there is a comment section where you can talk at me. Let me know if this topic is relevant for you and if it was helpful. Let's jump in. So we are talking about aches and pains, and this will fix it. forever. It will. It's simple. And it does require some effort. Here's the thing, keeping an optimal body and feeling the vitality that is your birthright and staying healthy and happy for the rest of your life takes effort. And that is one of the reasons why aging is so difficult, because it does take the effort. And along with aging comes a general sense of fatigue, but they go hand in hand. And if you're willing to put in the effort, I promise you, this will have a very profound effect on how you feel forever, how your body functions forever, how you keep up with your life forever. If you're new to my community, welcome. My hallmark is that I help you use intentional nutrition and strength training to create the body that you need to keep up with the life that you love. Because the truth is, you need this physical body to keep up with your best life ever. Have you ever had an experience in life where you just did not feel well physically? It is hard to live a good life when you don't feel well physically. It is hard to be happy and to smile and to dance through life when you don't feel well physically. So my whole conversation is around this, helping you use strength training and intentional nutrition to create the body that's going to help you have an awesome life. And strength training really is the thing that we're talking about here, because it will fix every ache and pain, I promise. If you're willing to commit to a stretch of time where you are really trying and staying consistent with the protocols I'm going to share with you today, and you give it some time and you stay committed to it. Now, listen, if part of you says, I just wonder what this thing is that will really fix every ache and pain forever. And let me tell you, my conversation, as I've already revealed, is all about strength training on all of the levels. And on the one hand, my industry is looked at as the fitness industry. But the truth is, if you've ever had an outright injury and you took your doctor's advice and you went to see a physical therapist, the entire physical therapy, sports medicine, and rehab industry is built around one thing: muscular strength and balance. If you've ever been to a physical therapist's office, you know they give you two things to fix you: stretching and strengthening. And guess what? The stretching is only to release your joints so that you can strengthen them appropriately. Looking at it another way, even stretching, in my opinion, isn't super necessary. Now, it's going to be a part of the protocols that I share with you in just a moment. I'm going to be going over very specific protocols for general aches and overt pain that affect the knees, the hips, the back, the shoulders, and the neck. So I'm going to give you 4 specific protocols if you're someone who's got pain in your hip or pain in your neck. Okay, I think all of us can relate to a pain in the neck, if you will. So I'm going to be giving you very specific protocols. But here's the thing. You're going to see I do employ the power of stretching. That being said, in general, I prescribe stretching only when there's dysfunction. I personally don't believe everyone needs to be stretching every single day. I don't. If you are strength training appropriately and your body is in balance, you'll never have to stretch. When I am on my A game with my strength and conditioning, I don't ever stretch. I take yoga, but I don't do it for stretching. I actually do it for the biochemical changes it produces for me. So I am going to be going over some stretching, but what I really want you to understand philosophically, stretching is never going to take away your pain. It is a piece of the puzzle to fix injury and to reduce and eliminate pain. but it's not the end all be all. So tell me if this is you. Do you have tight hamstrings? Have you been told that you have tight hamstrings or tight hip flexors? And when you were told that you had tight hamstrings, did you then set out to stretch them every single day and get nowhere? Raise your hand if that's you. Because after 30 years of being in practice, I can't tell you how many times I have worked with a woman who was told she had tight hamstrings, stretched them all day long, went to yoga all day long, and it never got better. Well, that's because stretching is not the end all be all. Ultimately, we've got to get the body back in balance through appropriate strength ratios around your major joints. And that comes back to muscular strength. So today we're talking about aches and pains. If you've got them, this will fix you forever. And this is strength training. So I'm going to be sharing some very specific protocols for you. But first, let me just explain a little bit about the science and a little bit about where I'm coming from today. So once you understand this fact about the human body, you're going to be a whole lot more incentivized and excited to take the actions that I'm going to suggest for you. So if you're here with me live, please say hello, use the comments below so that I know that you are here. And towards the end of the segment, if you've got any questions, pop them in and I will be more than happy to answer them. So here's how we do it. The first thing you've got to understand is that your bones do not hold your body up in space. Did you know that? Your bones do not hold you up in space. Your bones give you structure, but it's your muscles energizing, pushing and pulling, mostly pulling against gravity to hold your bones where they need to be. So your shoulder joint and the bones that come into the shoulder joint aren't there because of your bones and your ligaments. They're actually there because your strong muscles narrow down into tendons, which insert on the bone. And it's the muscles that hold your bones together at a joint. So the muscles of your body are what keep your joints in proper alignment. So if the muscles are not in balance, the bones are not integrated beautifully the way that they need to be. And just for reference, let's pretend that's a 90-degree angle, okay? Just for argument's sake. So this bone meets this bone in a 90-degree angle, and that happens because of your muscles. But if one of those muscles is kind of weak, and then it tugs on another muscle and causes another muscle weakness, then all of a sudden you don't have a 90-degree angle. Then all of a sudden you've got two bones coming together in a way they're not really designed because of muscular weakness and causing tightness. When if we could just stretch a muscle so that the other muscle can strengthen and we bring that joint back to balance. It all hinges on appropriate muscular strength ratios around your joints. So what that means is all of your muscles have to be strengthened within a system so that they keep right angles at all your joints. Now, your joints don't all have right angles. That's just for argument's sake, so you can understand it conceptually, because a lot of joints, like your knee joint, really, right, has a 180-degree angle-ish. Not really, but let's just go with that again for argument's sake. So in order to keep the appropriate angles at a joint, all of the muscles around the joint have to be strengthened appropriately within the right ratio to all of the other muscles around the joint. And when there's a weak muscle, there is a change of the bones in the joint, which then causes tightness around a joint. So let's use those hamstrings as an example. And one common thing I see on a regular basis, which is why I created the Glutes Project, is that when your glutes are weak, and oh, by the way, 99.9% of the women in the world, maybe even more than that, have weak glutes. 99.2% of all humans in the world have weak glutes. And when your glutes are weak, there's a change at the pelvis and the hip structure. And a very common thing that can happen is that pelvis rotates forward. When your pelvis rotates forward, you then get a lengthening of the hamstrings on the back of the body in the posterior chain. And that over lengthening of the hamstrings starts to look like muscle tightness, really lack of flexibility. But what it is it's an over lengthened muscle. And stretching will never fix it. Never, ever, because the real problem is the glutes are weak and the hamstrings are weak. And so when we strengthen the glutes and the hamstrings, surprise, surprise, your hamstring flexibility opens up without ever stretching. Now, listen, if you love to stretch, go for it. I'm not saying stretching is bad. What I'm saying is when the human body is strengthened appropriately, when all of your major muscles are strengthened appropriately, you don't need to stretch. And if you want to, because you love it, go for it. If you have joint dysfunction, there is going to be a time and a place for some stretching, but it's not a requirement. And you hear that from a lot of the industry where it's like, you should be stretching every single day. And so you start stretching. Does it get you anywhere? A lot of times I see that it doesn't, other than, yes, it makes you feel great. Now, listen, I tend to do, I don't even want to call them stretching exercises. I lay down on the floor and I do range of motion stuff every single day. I'm opening up my joints all throughout the day because it makes me feel amazing. Joint mobility. But I am never doing static stretching, almost never. Sometimes for my hips in a double pigeon type position, but even still, it's really more mobility than it actually is flexibility. When your muscles are strengthened appropriately, you don't need to stretch. You won't need to stretch. Your joints are held together in place by muscles. Weaknesses cause an imbalance around your joints. The imbalance causes one muscle to be shortened and the opposing muscle to be, lengthened beyond its happy place. Let me use the hamstrings again because hamstrings are so common. If you're here with me live and you're like, yeah, my hamstrings are tight, I should be stretching my hamstrings more. My doctor told me my hamstrings are tight. My personal trainer told me my hamstrings are tight and I should be stretching them more. If that's you, raise your hand. We're going to use that as an example. If your hamstrings feel tight, and they could be, more likely it's because your glutes are weak and you get a change in the pelvis, which causes an over lengthening of the hamstrings. And you get a shortening of the hip flexors and the quads. Okay. When there's an imbalance at a joint, it causes one muscle to be shortened. In this case, the hip flexors and the quads get shortened. And the opposing muscle, the hamstrings, get lengthened beyond the happy place. So if it's your hamstrings that appear to be inflexible, the opposing muscle group gets shortened. So the opposing muscle group to your hamstrings is your quadriceps. But the quadriceps attach up above your hip, so they tug on the hip and shorten the hip flexors. And when you've got weak glutes, it all just becomes this vicious cycle. And ultimately, this scenario causes an energy loss Because what's happening is the glutes and the hamstrings are getting tugged on all day long and they can't relax. So you get energy loss, strain and drain in your muscles. And this is what leaves you feeling achy. That general achiness is because your muscles are not activated and strong enough to hold you into position. And if you don't catch the achiness soon enough, it's going to leave you with pain or an injury. The only thing that is going to fix both aches and pains is strength training. It's the only thing. Now, if we're looking at a joint like the shoulder, and I'm going to go over our protocol with you in just a moment, if your aches and pains or injuries are related to the shoulders or the neck, listen up. Because similar to what I shared with the hamstrings, I want to show you guys, I've got a visual. I'm kind of scared to get my visual though, because you know me in technology. Hold on one second, please. I'm going to see. Give me one moment. I want to see if I can bring up some photos for you. This is not easy. Give me one second here. There's one. Beautiful. Here's two. Wonderful. Okay, I think I can do this. Let me show you a visual here. Okay, share screen window. Ha ha, I think I figured it out. There we go. I am sharing a photo with you. Okay, and this photo is brought to you by carprehab.com. I think it is a general stock photo, but it's from carprehab.com. Okay. So if you can see in this photo, ultimately what you're looking at here is a number of postural issues, and it's exactly what we're talking about. Okay. So can you imagine the woman on the left who's got great posture, same woman? You can see how there's just great posture. Okay. All of the muscles are falling into appropriate balance around her major joints, her knees, her hips, her back, her shoulders, her neck. But when there's a weakness or when there's imbalance, the body falls into a position that you can just obviously see isn't ideal. And more specifically, I want you to take a look at her shoulder joint. So what you'll notice is that her right shoulder is collapsing forward and rounding forward. And this is because of a weakness in the back of the shoulder. So if you just look at it, imagine if she pulled her shoulders back and down, she pulled herself back, she would be back into proper balance. Her shoulders are collapsing forward and rounding forward, and that's because of a weakness in the back of the shoulders. So a moment ago, I just said aches and pain. Now she might have achy shoulders here, and she might have neck pain here, and you can see why. Look at the relationship of her head and her neck to her shoulders. Can't you understand that that probably causes some aches or some pains? Not much of a surprise here, huh? If your body is not stacked up against gravity the way that it should, your muscles have to expend extra energy holding your body in place. And when you are stacked up against gravity appropriately, everything gets to relax and you've got better energy because you don't have that energy strain and drain that's caused when your body is out of balance, like the photo on the right. So when we talk about a weak muscle causes the joint to change, I want you to look at her right shoulder here, and it causes that joint to get out of balance and out of alignment. In this case, the shoulder is rotating and pulling forward. And when that does, we get a shortening of the opposing muscle to the muscle that's weak. So if the back of her shoulder is weak, the opposing muscle is the front of the shoulder, which is one of the major muscles, is your pectoralis majors, your chest muscles. So in this case, we can pretty much bet that her chest muscles and the front of her shoulder is tight. And so this is a situation where, yes, we have to strengthen the back of the shoulder, but we might also have to first start with some stretching of the front of the shoulder to open up the front of the shoulder so that we can strengthen the back of the shoulder. So we're going to be talking about specific protocols I'm going to give you in a moment, exercises and things you can do to fix shoulder pain, to fix hip pain, to fix knee and back pain, neck pain, and to also reduce general achiness. Now, there's been a couple questions already. We're talking about bursas, we're talking about scoliosis, we're talking about weak muscle groups in some of the comments if you're here with me live. So when we look at things like bursitis, it's the same exact scenario. If you were to look at this woman's shoulder here, okay, and we see this a lot with hips and shoulders, if that joint is out of alignment, there's gonna be compression on the bursa around the joint. That makes sense, right? Look at it. Look at her shoulder, the misaligned shoulder as compared to the aligned shoulder. And doesn't it just make sense that where there's misalignment, there's gonna be pressure on the surrounding bursa? And that's why we get bursitis, because the joint is out of alignment. Why is the joint out of alignment? Because a weak muscle or muscle group, and that weak muscle or muscle group does cause muscle shortening on the opposite side of the joint. So we do have to do some stretching. But here's the deal. If this girl stretched the front of her shoulder and her chest every single day, do you think it's going to fix the weakness in the back of the shoulder? It's not, right? If she stretches the front of her shoulder here every day, is that going to fix the weakness that's causing the issue? No. Strength training is the only thing that will bring a joint back to balance. Yes, sometimes we have to mobilize the joint, open the joint, stretch a muscle to get that joint released a little bit so that we can then stretch it better, to strengthen it better so that that joint is in better balance. This right here is the foundation of my tagline, shoulders back and down. So if you've been with me and been a part of one of my strength training programs or joined me for a live workout or coached with me, you've heard me say shoulders back and down, shoulders back and down, shoulders back and down, like your life depends on it, because that is what's going to put your shoulder into better alignment. So let me share another photo that I think will again illustrate this from a different perspective. So here is a somewhat exaggerated example, but it's a great example. And this is coming from researchgate.net. This was taken off of their website. Again, I think it's stock photography, but I want to give them credit where credit is due. And listen, this is an exaggerated photo, but it's going to help you understand what we're talking about here. Photo on the right, good posture and alignment. You can see there is a parallel relationship between her shoulder blades and her pelvis. Technically, it's her shoulder blades and her hip bones, but it's going right through her little booty cheeks there, okay? And when there is a misalignment or an asymmetry on one side of the body, the left side of her body, there's a change at the knee joint, and that causes a change at the hip joint, and that causes a change at the shoulder joint. So ultimately, where you're having pain, we've got to address the pain at that joint. I guarantee this woman is going to have knee pain, and she may or may not have hip and shoulder pain. But we look at where the aches or the pains are, and we remedy that joint first, because that will then reveal if there's dysfunction at another joint. So for example, she's going to have knee pain. She may or may not have hip and shoulder pain, or she might have hip pain. And we fix that hip pain because it can also bring alignment to the knee and the shoulder. And so you can just look at this and say, listen, I know this is a very obvious extreme example, but we are talking millimeters of imbalance in your body can cause aches, pains, and injuries. A mere millimeter of imbalance. It doesn't even have to be as extreme as what you're seeing in this photo. Literally, a millimeter of imbalance around your shoulder can cause problems. And so let's jump into how you fix it. Because you might be like, okay, I get it. I get the concept here. So what do I do about my neck pain? What do I do about my hip pain? Now, let me tell you, I am also speaking from experience because I've had every injury and every pain and every ache and pain known to woman. So there was a time in my 20s, many of you know this story, where I had such debilitating knee pain. I couldn't sit through a movie in the movie theater. I had to get up multiple times and go to the back of the theater and stand because I had such excruciating knee and then hip pain. And guess what? I sit before you now, a mere 25 years later, and I don't have any pain at all. From time to time, my toe joints are problematic, but I can fix it as soon as I get back onto my strengthening protocol. My hip pain is gone, and I've got better knees than I've had my entire life. My knees are healthier than they were when I was 18. I can do more things with my knees now at 50 than I ever could in my 20s. And that's because of what I'm teaching and sharing with you today. So let's jump in. Now, remember, if you've popped in live, we're talking about aches and pains. Is that you? This will fix you forever. And this is strength training. There's a difference between general achiness and pains. If you fall into the category of general achiness, here's your suggestion from what I do with my clients. In general, if you just have chronic achiness, so if you've been sitting for an hour and you stand up and you're just like, oh, and it takes you a few minutes to get out of that position, you simply need overall strength training so that your muscles are learning to fight to achieve balance. All you need is a well-rounded, consistent strength training protocol to strengthen the major muscle groups of your body to get them back into alignment so that you're not losing that energy lag, drain, and sag from weak muscles. So if you're just achy, start with a really good general strength training program 2 to 3 times per week. If you don't have just a good foundational strength and conditioning program, come over to hollyperkins.com/offer, put in your email address, and I will send you a totally free 14-page download that is a 6-week strength and cardio program that gives you video tutorials for home workouts and gym workouts. I'll show you exactly how to do the exercises. I will tell you exactly how many reps, how many sets, how much rest. I'll show you how to do it. It's a 6-week program that's totally free, and it's strength training and cardio. hollyperkins.com/offer, and it's yours. If you start and you follow this program 2 times per week, up to 3 times per week, give it 4 to 6 weeks and you're going to be a different person. Give it 8 to 10 weeks and you're going to be brand new. Give it 10 to 12 weeks or more and you are going to be unstoppable. The more you do it, the longer you stay consistent, the better and better and better and better and better you get. hollyperkins.com/offer. Now, that's if you're just in that kind of achy category. Now, if you're in the category of overt pain, I want you to ask, so which joint are we talking about here? Is it knees or a knee? Is it hips or a hip? Back, lower back, upper back? Shoulders and neck. I put shoulders and neck together. You might have shoulder pain. You might have neck pain. I put them together just because I think it's easiest, and I've got the a protocol that will fix either scenario. So we're going to start with the knees, and I'm going to quickly give you a very specific protocol that you can follow. And again, if you do this consistently for a period of time, over time, the more you do this, the better you're going to be. This is exactly how I did it. I've had every single one of these aches and pains. I've had knee pain, hip pain, back pain, shoulder pain. I've had it all. I've had injuries of all of those major body areas as well. And this is how I did it. This is how I help my clients to do it. Knees. Number one, you're going to follow the suggestion that I just made for aches. You're going to download my free 6-week strength and cardio program, and you're going to strength train 2 to 3 times per week. You're going to start a general strength and conditioning program 2 to 3 times per week. And you're going to add 2 days per week. You are going to spend a few minutes stretching your quads. Come over to my Holly Perkins channel on YouTube, and I've got a video called The Ultimate Guide to Quad Stretching. Let me find it. I think that's the name of it. Today hold on one second. I'm going to find it, and I'm going to tell you exactly the name of it. How to stretch your quads right. Do these 8 stretches every day. Come over to Holly Perkins on YouTube. How to stretch your quads right. And you're going to perform those exercises 2 times per week to stretch the quads. And then you're going to strengthen your hamstrings. And so you might say, ooh, how do I strengthen my hamstrings? You can come over to my Women's Strength Nation channel on YouTube and pick out a couple of hamstring strengthening exercises. Now, you might have to do a little homework on your own to figure out, well, which hamstring exercises should I be doing? But to give you the short list, that would be a seated leg curl or a prone leg curl is one of the best ways to isolate and strengthen the hamstrings. That is your protocol if you've got knee pain. You're going to do general strength and conditioning 2 to 3 times per week, and then 2 days per week. You're going to do my quad stretching video, and then you're going to strengthen your hamstrings, performing 3 to 6 sets of dedicated hamstring strengthening movements. Hips. If your pain is in the hip or both of your hips are giving you outright pain, you're going to do the same. General strength and conditioning twice per week. If you need a basic strength training program, hollyperkins.com/offer, download my 6-week strength and cardio program, and that will serve as your basic strength training protocol. And then in addition to that, 2 days per week, you're going to stretch your quads using my How to Stretch Your Quads Right video on YouTube. You're also going to stretch your hip you're also going to stretch your hip flexors. And then you're going to strengthen your glutes. So again, I'm talking about if you have hip pain, here's your protocol. General strength and conditioning 2 to 3 times per week. Additionally, 2 days per week, you're going to stretch your quads, you're going to stretch your hip flexors, and then you're going to strengthen your glutes. If you don't know how to strengthen your glutes, this is exactly why I created the Glutes Project. There are also great glute-focused exercises out there that you can use to strengthen your glutes. 2 of my favorite, a cable kickback and a hip thrust or glute bridge. Those are 2 of my top favorite glute strengthening exercises. If your pain is in your back, here's your protocol. Again, 2 to 3 times per week, you need to be doing a general strength and conditioning program or protocol. And then additionally, 2 times per week, you're going to stretch your quads, stretch your hip flexors, stretch your glutes, and then you're going to strengthen your abs. in that order. So 2 days per week, you'll spend 6 to 10 minutes stretching your quads, your hip flexors, and your glutes. And then you will do some ab strengthening exercises. And some of my favorite actual ab strengthening exercises, I love planks. I love a cable ab pull down from a machine. And I also love a hanging knee raise where you lift your knees up or one knee at a time to strengthen the core. And if your pain is in your shoulders or your neck, you're going to follow this protocol. Again, 2 to 3 days per week. I want you to follow a general strength and conditioning protocol just to improve your overall body strength. And then 2 days per week, you're also going to, number 1, stretch your chest. Okay. That goes back to that photo I showed you. So 2 days per week, you're going to do shoulder specific exercises that start with stretching the chest to open up that shoulder joint. You're going to follow my shoulder rehab RX protocol that's on my website. So just come to hollyperkins.com, go to blog. On the top right of your screen, there's a search feature, and you can just type in shoulder RX. And it's going to give you a shoulder strengthening protocol that I created for this very reason. You're going to do that twice per week, and you're going to workshop lat pull down or band lat row so that you can really teach and strengthen to keep your shoulders back and down. That has to come from your lats, your lower trapezius, and your rhomboids. But if you workshop lat pull down or a band lat row, if you workshop one or both of those exercises, that's going to teach you to get those shoulders back and down, and strengthening your lats is absolutely essential for healthy shoulder function. And that is going to help with neck issues as well, because ultimately neck issues generally come from poor shoulder function. Just like that photo I showed a moment ago with the woman whose shoulders are rounded forward, you could imagine, and let me try and do that again. You can imagine hold on, share. Try and share this again. Give me 1 second, and I'm going to try to share this photo again. Oh, I can't find it now. Okay, well, it's gone. I'm not going to try and I don't want to screw it up. Hold on, let me try to. Give me 1 second. Is that it? Yeah, there it is. Open that, come to here, share screen. Hold on 1 second. Window, here. Okay, so again, if the shoulders are out of place, you can see how shoulder dysfunction causes neck and head alignment. So just looking at this photo, I think you're probably smart enough to gather, don't you imagine this is going to cause her to have neck pain when really the issue is not coming from the neck. The issue is coming from the shoulders. So if you've got neck issues or neck pain, I strongly recommend you start with improving the alignment and the integrity at the shoulder through the protocol that I just shared. But you can see here, her shoulders are out of alignment, and that's probably going to cause some shoulder pain in the front or the back. Okay. And you can see how it could potentially cause neck pain. And now that's in essence exactly why that's exactly why if you've got neck pain, I lump neck and shoulder pain together because it's generally the same protocol to fix it. So again, there you have it. Those are some basic protocols. And I know you might have several questions. Obviously, it's hard for me to use this just kind of free platform and this short time that we have together to get super, super, super detailed. So you are going to have to do some homework on your own, but really and truly, I just gave you the high level protocol for how you can fix these things. And oh, by the way, of course, if you're at the place where you just very much want some hand holding and some guidance and some specific coaching, I do private one-on-one coaching outside of my group programs like the Glutes Project, the Nutrition Project, the Masters, and the Next Level. So if you're like, I just need help, I just need a coach, I just need someone to work with me on this in a very specific way, send me an email at holly@hollyperkins.com and we can talk about what my coaching packages look like. That is an option. But since I gave you the high level what to do, 1, 2, 3 here, I also know you can figure this out yourself. You can simply look up exercises to strengthen the hamstrings or stretches for the hip flexors or how to stretch your glutes. There's so many resources and videos out there. You don't need me for that. You need me for the higher level protocol on what to do here. And that is what I've got today for you for aches and pains. This will fix you forever. And it's consistent strength training so that you're getting your joints back into alignment, so that your body is back in balance, so that you can release all of that strain and drain and muscle energy lag that causes you to be exhausted, that causes the aches, which eventually lead to outright pains. Stick around if you have questions. I'm happy to answer them now for those of you guys that are here with me live. Welcome, welcome. Becky asks, IT band issues, bursa type issues in the hip. Becky, if you're still with me, let me know. So IT band issues. Let me see. Hold on one second. I want to see if I have another photo for you guys. Yeah, we're going to use this photo. So Becky, if you're still here, I want you to take a look at this image, okay? So you can see on her left hip, there's a misalignment at the hip. And you can see how, because of that collapsing or that misalignment at her left hip, you can see how there could be compression on a bursa, irritation on a bursa. There could even be pressure on the bursa of the right hip because there's going to be a heaviness and a strain on the right hip because that left hip is dragging her downward. And so this imbalance at the hips could cause sciatica on the right hip or on the right leg. It could cause sciatica on the left hip. It could cause bursitis on the right hip or the left hip. It can cause a number of issues, and chances are you are going to have IT band issues on the left because there's going to be a shortening of that IT band on her left leg. So again, I don't know your specific scenario, but I want you to understand this conceptually. I'll tell you what to do about it in a moment, glute strengthening. But if there is that misalignment at that left hip and there is that sagging, if you will, of the left hip, we're going to see a change on the IT band getting shortened, and where there's probably going to be an imbalance between the quadriceps and the hamstrings. Now, IT band issues are almost always a function of muscular imbalance between the quads and the hamstrings. Always. So, in theory, you could just strengthen your hamstrings and stretch your quads, but it might ultimately come back to a hip issue. In my experience, it does because the IT band originates above the hip. And so IT band issues for me and my clients has always been a function of improving glute strength and hamstring strength. So when you improve glute and hamstring function, we get better mobility and flexibility, and we get a natural lengthening of the IT band. And if you've got IT band issues, you've got a hip issue in general, which is probably what's causing the bursa type issues in the hip. So Either way, a strengthening of the glutes and the hamstrings is going to be a huge part of relieving the IT band issues and any kind of bursa issues that you might be having. It's powerful stuff. Strengthening your glutes and your hamstrings, is that alone going to fix it? It could if you stick with it long enough. But you might also have to do the knee protocol that I shared earlier today in this segment, where you're stretching your quadriceps. I would say if you've got hip pain, which you have hip pain, Becky, follow the hip protocol that I reviewed second today in this conversation. Kimberly, what exercises would help to correct pain in weak lats as a result of scoliosis? So I would argue, Kimberly, that the pain isn't in your lats. Okay. I would argue the pain is coming from something else. And I don't know the exact type of scoliosis that we're talking about here. But if you're feeling pain in the lats, or someone has told you that it's weak lats, which, you know, you guys listen, your latissimus dorsi is a massive muscle. It's the second largest muscle in your entire body, second to your glutes, which is a muscle group. Okay. Glutes are your largest muscle group. Second to that would be your lats, which is a muscle. It's one muscle. It's not a muscle group. So your lats, it's a huge muscle, and it keeps your shoulders in place. It anchors your shoulders to your pelvis. It helps to keep your core engaged. Lats are so important. And the scoliosis, whether it's coming from a genetic at birth scoliosis versus over time weaknesses have resulted in scoliosis, it might just be a function of general strengthening, and yes, strengthening the lats. So if you say correct pain in weak lats, I imagine someone's told you that you've got weak lats. The best solution for weak lats is to strengthen your lats. The best way to strengthen your lats is a cable lat pull down. It's the best way. Now, that does require you either going into a gym or getting a cable lat pull down machine for your home. And you can mimic it with bands, but the best way to strengthen your lats is a lat pull down, either with a reverse grip. I prefer a reverse grip, honestly, or a very healthy wide grip, but I tend to really like a reverse grip for women when their lats are weak. You can also add to that a band lat row. A band lat row is also really, really great for strengthening the lats. Okay. If you get your lats strong enough, you can also do assisted chin-ups or pull-ups, but you've got to have a really solid basis of strength before you do that. Mamie says shoulder pain here. Would love to get some relief. Mamie, I so hope you will follow the shoulder protocol that I mentioned. And at the bare minimum, come over to my website, hollyperkins.com, click over to the blog page. When you're looking at the screen on the top right, you're going to see a search feature, and you can just search shoulder RX. And there is a blog entry called Shoulder Rehab RX, and it's going to walk you through my shoulder prehab rehab protocol that I use with all my clients. It's awesome. If you do it and you do it and you do it and you do it, you're going to get out of pain. I can pretty much guarantee it. Kimberly, would your shoulder RX protocol be what you'd recommend for upper back pain as well? Yes, definitely. Kimberly, let's start there. Let's start you with the shoulder RX protocol. And if it improves, then I would have you move on to the back protocol. Or actually, I think I would move you on to the hip protocol. Get your shoulders fixed and then do the hip protocol to strengthen your glutes, because your shoulders and your glutes work together to really stabilize your torso and your spine. Mimi, loving your starter general strength training. Yay! Feeling more energized and stronger, and I can actually touch my toes now. Mimi, I love you. You are speaking my language. Do you guys hear her? Right? So I'm curious, Mimi, like, have you been doing much hamstring flexibility? Probably not. So thank you for that, because this is what I hear all the time from my clients is they start just a general strength training protocol and all of a sudden their flexibility is better. I see it all the time with my clients and I see it with myself all the time. It's powerful, powerful stuff. Kimberly, I do lat pull downs at home. So good to know. So yes. And listen, you can do lat pull downs at home. Absolutely. Absolutely. You're gonna get a better training effect if you're able to use a cable lat pull down machine, either at a gym or get a home model. Heidi, who's here with us today, she's actually got a home version of a cable lat pull down. So that's an option. And you know, Kimberly, lat pull downs with a band can work. It's just not, it's not ideal in my experience. Okay. Debbie, what is IT? IT is the iliotibial band. It is a band of fascia that runs from your hip to your knee, and it connects the front and the back of your thigh, your quads to your hamstrings. My left hip is higher than the right, just like that photo. Right lower back becomes so sore at the end of the day, of course. Been to a chiropractor. I believe exercise can work this out. So let me just kind of underscore there, right? So while I think there are some very talented chiropractors, most of the time what chiropractors are doing is they're literally either massaging or cracking and popping you back into position. But if your muscles aren't strong enough to hold you in that position, you're just going to wind up right back at your chiropractor again. Okay. Gosh, I figured this out in high school. When I had knee pain from track, I'd go to the chiropractor, I'd feel great, but then I would just wind up back there again in 6 weeks because I wasn't fixing the real root cause of the issue. And so ultimately, I hope a chiropractor brings you some relief, but the only way you're going to get out of the chiropractor's office is to strengthen your body back into alignment so you don't need those adjustments. I try to remember to stand lifting a bit the lower right side and not lean to the left as when holding an over shoulder purse on the right side. Exactly. I don't use one. Great. I will try the hip protocol. At the moment, unable to do much to a fall, to a fail. I know this can be worked out. You share such great info. Wonderful. Debbie, I'm so happy for that. And yes, so you've got a little bit of that scoliosis, if you will. And I do think that starting with a hip protocol, or Debbie, I know you've got the glutes project, go back to activate, start with your activate 8, do those every single day, eventually work your way back into the glutes project and follow that protocol. And that can be really, really helpful for balancing out the hips, which ultimately create the foundation for your spine, which ultimately help to balance out your shoulder girdle. Mamie. Oh, wait, I got to stop my share. Hold on, guys. Stop my screen share. What about pain that seems to be behind the scapula? Still shoulder RX? Yes, absolutely. Because chances are what's happening is you're getting some winging on your shoulder blades. So remember, the shoulder joint is a ball and socket. And so it goes in all directions. And, you know, one shoulder dysfunction is that the shoulders could come forward. One shoulder dysfunction is that the shoulders rotate forward, and another shoulder dysfunction is that the scapulas wing out. And if you're getting an outward wing, which is an internal rotation on the shoulders, that's going to be tugging on the muscles, the fascia on the backside of your scapula. So chances are your scapulas are coming to an outward wing and tugging on all of that tissue on technically the front side of your scapula. Okay. Therefore, again, that's another reason why I created the shoulder rehab RX protocol, which is free, you guys, totally free on the blog, so that your shoulder, what we call the girdle, your shoulders, yes, it's your shoulder joint, but your shoulder joint impacts your scapulas and your collarbone and your neck. And that's why we call it the shoulder girdle. So we want that whole girdle nice and tight and drawn in and in alignment. And it does impact where your scapulas are, where the scapulae are. I think it's scapulas. I don't know. Heidi, thank you so much for this. When I do concentration curls, I push my right shoulder back while I'm performing the curl, and it eliminates the pain. Exactly, right? Because on a concentration curl, that shoulder's coming forward and we need it to come back. Shoulders back and down. You still want shoulders back and down, even if you're leaning forward and you're doing an asymmetric unilateral bicep curl, you still want that shoulder back and down for optimal alignment on that individual shoulder. Kimberly, you're welcome. Let me know if it's helpful. Debbie, thank you for repeating and repeating. I know your suggestion is what to do. We'll be doing the exercises I can until the fall wounds are healed, then go all out. I see. I hear you. Got it. Until your fall wounds are healed and then go all out 100%. Got it. I understand, Debbie, now. So basically, yes, you've got to let your wounds from the fall heal. And while you're doing that, the Glutes Project to Activate 8 would be a great way to get you going, right? And get you back up on your feet, literally and figuratively. And the Activate 8 are mild enough that I think you'll also be able to heal from the fall while you're also getting those glutes fired up again, so that when you're ready, you could slowly and gradually work your way back into a full expression of the Glutes Project. Okay, guys, that is it for today. I hope you found this helpful. If you are watching this in playback and you enjoyed it, please share. Please do let me know. Leave me a comment. Send me an email, holly@hollyperkins.com, because your feedback really helps me to know if I should give you more, if this is helpful, or if I'm just spewing out a lot of hot air over here and entertaining you. I definitely would like to know if it's helpful at all, because then I will bring you more fun information. And oh, if you are here live, we are going to be doing a new episode of Hot Tea, Hot Seat Community Coaching. And if you would like to speak with me live and get some personalized coaching from me, very specifically around your struggles or around any nutrition or strength training topics that you need, you can apply to win one of those 3 spots for an upcoming Hot Tea, Hot Seat coaching. Just send me an email, holly@hollyperkins.com, and I will send you the application, and you can just pop in your information, what you're struggling with, and you might get to join me on an upcoming episode right here, Hot Tea with Holly, and we will talk about what you need to become even better and even stronger so you can live your best life ever. Until then, I will see you next week, Tuesday, 1 o'clock on the East Coast, Holly Perkins Fitness on Facebook. Have a great day.